Good evening and welcome to another night of Sistah Girls Nite In. Today we have author Latoya Nicole with us. Hey Toya,
Hey man.
you want to tell us a little about yourself?
First, is this a cursing platform?
Yeah, you can curse.
Okay. I am author Latoya Nicole, actually national bestselling author Latoya Nicole. I have don't ask me for the exact number because I have lost count, but I'm somewhere around 100 books.
Mm.
Uh, over 50 best-selling titles. Um, I am 42. I'll be 43 in July. Y'all can send me a gift if y'all want to. Especially you, man. I am
Okay.
a mother of one, west side of Chicago, K-Town, born and raised. Um, and yeah, pretty much that's it. I penned those motherfucking stories that, you know, give you a glimpse into the hood with a little love, with a lot of little ratchet, little emotion,
Mm-hmm.
give you some laughs, give you some tears, but it's gonna give you a good read every time. You're gonna get a different story every time, and you're gonna get different characters every time, unless I'm doing a series, which I hardly do anymore. But um, yeah, you ain't got to worry about reading the same kind of storyline over and over and over again. You're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
something fresh every time. So go download that shit. Go read that shit.
So Toya, you have a hive. Your fans be on it. First day, first day of your release, you have about 100 reviews. Like your fans do not play about you. How do you feel about that?
Girl, sometimes them motherfuckers, my fans, they gon' rap for me every time. But in the summer, let them. I had outside hoes as fans. Let them be outside in them streets in them summer days. It's hot. They be a little downloaded sometimes, but no, they got my back always. I definitely appreciate that because it wasn't given. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like when you sign to a publisher, well now people know that, but back then, because I've been writing since 2016. Back then, that's when like it wasn't too many people indie. Actually, like indie authors like barely like could get read or make it. Like people readers didn't like indie authors. I don't know if that made them get a sense of feeling like nobody wanted us or we wasn't good enough. I don't know, but it wasn't really any indie authors. So, when you signed to a publisher, everybody was like trying to find the type of publisher that would come with their fan base or whatever. For me, it was different because I knew nothing about the industry. So, I literally was just trying to find somebody to pick up my work. And I really had only wanted to write my one book, which was my story. Um,
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out like to my friend or something. I was like, I'm trying to find this. She was like, why you ain't talk to Shoni? Because Shoni was, an independent author. And I reached out to Shoni K. She's an author. And she was like, oh, I'm not accepting any submissions at this time. I didn't even know she was a publisher, but that's what she said. And she was like, reach out to Lady P. And she gave me Lady P information. And I sent my submission to Lady P because I inboxed her and she like called me back immediately once she read it. And it was up from there. But I was like, okay, I know who Lady P is. I read her books and I was thinking like, you know, she got a real big fan base. Like you think that it come with it, but it doesn't. Like you have to get out there and kind of like get a name for yourself. And so not that I didn't have the support, it's just like your fans is your fans. Like even if I write
Mm-hmm.
a lab, a lot of my fans will be like, well, I'm gonna wait on the book with just your name. You know what I'm saying? Like some of them are like that. So, you know, I really appreciate my fans because they weren't handed to me. I had to grind and get them, like they had to read my work and enjoy it, for themselves. And they fuck with me because they like my work, like not because they started out reading me because, oh, I was they were her fan or her fan or her fan. Like they decided to give me a try, and it didn't come right away. Um, I was a little looked over at first, and then I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna keep dropping books till they see me, and I started dropping books every 2 weeks. I was dropping books.
You was in the story every 2 weeks.
Listen, I'm real, like,
That's
cause
why you have so many books you can't even name. You was dropping them like that.
crazy part is I could literally name all my books.
Wow.
Like I might can't like if you say what book has so and so in them in there, it might take me a minute to figure out which book it is, like off the characters. But I could literally like name almost all my books.
Okay. So you spoke about your life story. Your life story is a little different. You had a little stint in jail, and you
It-
and you by the grace of God you're out. You overcame that. But how did your time in jail shape you as an author?
I've been like literally playing around with it for like I've been saying like going over it in my head for like about a month now. I keep saying I want to start like TikTok and like documenting like doing like a little jailhouse chronicles, like just different stories of my time in there or whatever. Because
Oh Lord.
half of the stuff like that we did like in jail, like to get by, or, like to have fun or whatever. But um yeah, I did let's say like I'm not gonna go too much into it because if you really want to know my story, go download the book No Way Out Part 1. Um but basically I went to jail for murder. I was in an abusive relationship and shit like that. But um that's where I decided to start my writing it in there, because it was just like I really thought I wasn't getting out. Like they the first deal they offered me was 60 years. And I was like, they love
60.
60. And I'm like, what the
Ooh.
fuck kind of deal is that? And so for the longest, like that was the offer on the table. And then they dropped down to 20. And so everybody around me, like family, friends, people in jail, was like, that's a blessing. That's a long way from 60. You'll still be young. Like I'm like, that ain't no fucking blessing. Like what kind of blessings y'all gotta give out? That ain't no blessing. But yeah, so I thought I wasn't gonna see this side of those walls again. So I was like, let me document my story, because maybe my story could save some other, young girl from going through what I went through. Crazy part is, it was like my whole idea of writing the book was to say, hey, I live the street life. I've been in the streets, like with street niggas, all of that. Like everything that glitters ain't fucking gold. Like you see
Mm-hmm.
the lifestyle, you want it, but run. And ironically, all the books I write highlights
Yeah,
a
the
lifestyle. Like
lifestyle.
it's a good
Mm-hmm.
thing. It's like it's the complete opposite. But I will say this, so y'all don't say, "Oh, that bitch a hypocrite." No, I will say this: like when when I wrote my story, I feel like I did what I was supposed to do. I put it out there. However, even though crazy part, like I don't even know if all those reviews still show, because the takedown happened. And so when we put our books back up, some of the reviews converted over and some of them didn't. So
Uh-huh.
some of my books, it'll say I only got like 100 reviews or 200 reviews when they used to be 1,000 or something. And No Way Out was one of those like books that like had like a lot of reviews, like 1,000, even though like I didn't hit number one or anything like that, but I got a lot of reviews on that book. And so people were real receptive of it. People were real, sympathetic and empathetic to my story or whatever. But what I quickly learned was they wanted the happy endings. You know what I'm saying? They wanted the love stories in books. Like I know like Quan, he writes, street lit.
Mm-hmm.
I swear I be really wanting to write a book without a love story ending so bad, but I just can't bring myself to do it. And I'm also one of those readers, so y'all know. that I like happy endings. I don't like my heart broken once I get to the end of it.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I ended up basically doing what most authors do, especially when you're trying to be known. You step into what are the readers reading? What do they want to see? What do they want to read about? And you trying to find your way, your lane, your path. And so I ended up basically writing the opposite, but I did write my story and get it out there that showed them like, hey, everything that glitters ain't gold. Like this is what's what. But then I flip flopped. So
Okay, so Toya, now that you talked about your stint in jail and how it influenced people to not go that way, and I know you said sometimes you write things and people may say it's hypocritical, but a lot of times we want to read those books to escape. So even though we're not living that lifestyle, it's fun to read about it. So it's like in your books, like you have comedy scenes in it, and it's so freaking hilarious. Like sometimes, I can't even. I know I'm not gonna be able to drink because I don't even much know what's gonna come out of those character mouths because I know exactly how you are. Have you ever thought about going into stand-up comedy, or that's just you letting it all out on those pages?
no, ma'am. I'm not a comedian. I'm telling you, I don't even be thinking most of it is funny. I it's just how we talk,
Mm-hmm.
and um, most people from Chicago story tell that way. We're animated people. We tell stories in an animated way. So when you hear people say like on the phone, on Bronam, on God, like that shit originated in Chicago. Like a person can't even tell a story. We'll be saying shit like and woo wop the bam and whoop de doo de doo. Like we talk.
That's how we do it here
I'm telling you, like, but everybody in Chicago will understand the whole story
too.
when
Yeah.
really being said. But we know exactly what you're
What? Yeah.
because we're animated in that way. So um we just we just know how to tell a story. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm talking, most of the time it's just how I talk. Like if you're in person with me and you ask me to tell you a story like that's not like my reading story, you'll see me tell that story the same way I'll tell it in my books. You will be laughing.
Yes.
That's and then sometimes I'll be like, why you laughing? Stop laughing. Cause I'm just trying to tell a story. I don't, look at it as um being funny. I don't know. But a lot of times too, stuff that I put in my books is stuff that actually happened, like stuff I've seen happen. Like people would think I've seen people say, oh my God, that was so far-fetched, it wasn't realistic. And I'd be like, bro, that literally happened to me. Literally,
Like it's far fetched for you. No, this is really happened.
like it literally, and I see that a lot with readers. And I think I hate to tell readers how to be readers. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like be their self, but literally like I feel like readers need to stop saying what's realistic and what's not because your walk of life is not somebody else's
Mm.
life. Because I've literally had a reader tell me I ain't no way this nigga walked in there and just took this money for and I've been with a nigga that literally just went in there and ganked somebody's shit. Like Chicago really about that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? I've seen like, oh, so all those gunshots and police didn't come. Nigga, where you from? They don't come here. Like you gonna be a waiting soul. Like you gonna bleed out and die waiting on the police or the ambulance to come in certain neighborhoods in Chicago. Like that's people will hear gunshots sometimes in your house and you won't even jump or move. It's so normal to some people in certain
Wow.
that no, they're not grabbing their phone, calling the police. Because guess what? Once the police know where that 911 call came from, guess what the police come to do? Knock on
Knock on
the
your
door.
door.
And
Mm-hmm.
now whoever did the crime, see the police talking to you. Now, I don't know if they think I saw them shoot. Now they coming back to kill me because they gonna come back. I don't know
Right.
about anybody else.
Yeah.
Some people find their business for the most part. Ain't nobody calling like, oh my God, I heard gunshots. Unless you live in the suburbs, like that shit is not happening. So I don't know like where a lot of these readers be from, or maybe they just never walked that path, but stop saying it's unrealistic because I promise you, most authors put what I know. Let me not say that. I put
Yes.
what I know in books. Like I write what I know. I can't speak on everybody, but I will say I've heard other authors say it. But most of the time, we write what we know. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
the whole. It's this one book. I don't even remember what book it was. I think it might have been Love and War, where I talked about a scene where I think it was because I think it was Quicksand that Blaze hooked him up with a girl in a wheelchair. And the girl had no legs. Like, even though I reversed it and made it a girl, like that real life happened to me. Like, I real life, a girl real life hooked me up with a nigga with no legs. And I didn't know it until he got like
Oh my god.
it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I reverse it or switch it or make it a girl.
Wait. So what did you do when you saw him?
Listen, no bullshit. This like long story short, this girl told me like come go to the taste. We got this thing called the Taste of Chicago that come around the 4th of July where it be a whole bunch of food being sold and fireworks or whatever downtown.
Hmm.
And she was to come go with her. She was going with some her nigga or some nigga she was fucking with. And she was trying to hook me up. I was single. I'm like, okay, cool. They pull up. Mind you, he pulls up in the Jaguar. So I'm like, okay, he got a little coin. So I get in, nothing of it. He's driving, so I really ain't thinking nothing of it. He introduces himself. He said his name is No Legs, No Limit. But he said it so fast. I'm like, come again, say what? Like, what's your name? He like, No Legs, No Limit. But it's still not registering. So I'm like, we got weird nicknames in Chicago. So it's like, okay, whatever. So we get there and we all get out the car. I'm walking off and he like, baby girl, help me. Like, help me. I'm like, help you out. Like, what? I'm like, what is he talking about? But I walk back to the car, open the door to help him out. He gets out, he only got one leg on, like one is off. So he telling me to grab a wheelchair. Now in my head, I'm going, I know this bitch fucking lying. I get the wheelchair and I'm mad because, mind you, again, I say around 4th of July, so it's hot as the fuck. And I'm around here pushing this nigga in a wheelchair. This nigga ain't even got the hover around. Right? So, so um, I'm sweating. And mind you, back then we weren't wearing weaves and shit like that. So this is my natural hair. My shit poofy in a motherfucker. I'm sweating. I'm irritated. Boom. Okay. We get through the day. Cool. He cool. I'm still in my head like, no, this not for me. But at least the date was cool. We get to the end of the night. We sitting on the lakefront. We just talking, whatever. He's basically trying to, get me to date him. And I'm like, I'm like, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna say no because I'll feel like I'm stuck there because if you ever do something and I try to leave, you're gonna be around here mad dogging like on Jay Slivers, like it's my leg, ain't it? It's my leg. Like, and I
What you
feel bad if you
do?
even though it ain't even your leg that's making me want to leave. Maybe I found somebody finer or with more money, or maybe you don't talk to me right. Maybe you don't treat me right. But now I'm obligated to stay because you over here with no leg, bro. So and that's what
Oh
I'm
my god.
He like, I get that, but I got this. I'm like, I don't care what you have, bro. Like, it's about first of all, I'm not gonna be pushing you around no motherfucking house, my nigga. Like, do you got stairs? Like, I didn't sign up for
I'm
this shit.
so mad at you. I
No,
can't believe you told
if
that
we
man that.
already dated and something happens to you, cool. I'm staying. I'm gonna ride it out. I'm gonna help you. But meeting you, like, cause now I
After this issue.
all angles of if I try to break up with you for anything, I can't because I'm gonna feel guilty and bound to you back.
Oh my god.
He gets mad, mind you. All this time, I still think he got one leg. He gets mad. The nigga popped the other leg off, bro.
Oh
On
my god.
Started like going crazy on me on his nubs. I was like, take me the fuck home right now. I was
Oh my god.
so
Oh my god. I'm done. I'm done. So it was one time where I made the mistake of saying, Toya, put me in your book.
yes, ma'am. And you
You made me a crackhead
said, give me a
with
fake
a
booty.
botched BBL.
You said, give me a fake booty pad. You asked for that.
I know you was gonna make me a crackhead.
I still got the text messages.
Right. And then you made me a child abuser.
Okay, because here's my thing. One same person who not crack or tooting is walking around with a booty pad on. Like, you didn't ask for a BBL. You said, I want a fake booty pad. So in my, I'm like, well, that person got to be on walking around with a twisted booty pad. So boom.
I
His,
wanted to look like Shamar.
listen, you did. You just had crack in your system too. You didn't technically, you didn't, oh, you was an abuser. You didn't murder her. You set her up, but you was an abuser.
Girl, and I died at the end.
But that book was
Why you
good.
killed me?
That book was good as the fuck.
It was good, but you still killed me. I ain't never got killed in a book before.
Matt, everybody got to experience it sometimes. You can't live in past after.
So, fool, your new book, the latest book you wrote, Sarge Du Bois. You wanted something a little different, so you did
Say
the
it,
beat,
say it,
huh?
say the title right. Because I can't let you be my friend and say that name wrong because this little, this little fat face on neck didn't go to school. Like, how you don't know how to say Dubois? So I,
Dubois.
my friends say that wrong.
Sarge Dubois. Oh, it's not Dubois. Okay, Dubois.
I say Du Bois,
French.
Du Bois or Dubois, whichever one. But she didn't say neither one. But
So, Sarge Dubois is BDSM. You know, it's a erotica. You know, it. I like the scenes. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh, okay, Toya. Look, gave a trigger warning for BDSM, and you said, you know, it's gonna get nasty.
yeah, but I
You let them know.
absolutely hate trigger warnings. So please, 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 readers, please stop making us write them. I really absolutely hate them because I feel like it takes away from the raw emotion and the authentic feeling you will feel when you read it. Feel like you're watching a movie or you're living through it. And if you already see what's coming or know what's coming, then that feeling you will feel is not there. You know what I'm saying? That
Mm-hmm.
emotion that would come up is not there. And example, like Ashley Nicole, she the book Gravity. Everybody was talking about it, so I went and downloaded it, I went to read it. And it opened up on the trigger warning page and say, okay, cool. So I started reading it. As soon as the sister's introduced, I realized the sister has mental illness. Boom. I know she's gonna kill herself.
Yeah.
So now where everybody else was crying and felt so, when I got to it, it was just like
That's why I didn't read it. I don't read trigger warnings. I don't even much want
I
to
didn't
know what the book
open
about.
up on the trigger warning page. So it
I
was
don't. That's crazy.
oh looking for it. It was like it was there, and I couldn't help but see it. And, and I'm gonna, as long as y'all want them, I'm gonna give my general. You know, like when you watch the movie and it say sex, nudity, domestic violence, but it ain't telling. Like, I'll give my general trigger warning at all times if that's what y'all want, but I'm not going to say, hey, this book contains a person jumping off a bridge. This book may get real graphic. He gonna cut a head. I'm not doing that. Like, I don't want to take away from the element of surprise from a
And
story.
I feel it takes away from reading. And I don't understand the trigger warning because it's like it's rated R, it's rated E for everybody. You know what kind of author you're getting. If you're getting the author that writes urban, you're more than likely going to get a gritty storyline. It's not going to be a cupcake. You're reading the wrong kind of genre.
Would assume, but they don't think that. Like, you know, for me, if I see that I'm picking up a romance book in my head, even though it might not be there, I might read cock in this story. I might
Mhm.
cock in it, even though I don't like that word. But once I go to pick up romance, I know that that may be in there. You know what I'm saying? I know that the tone is softer. It's more of a love story. It's not no, more than likely no hood shit in there, or whatever. But if I pick up a book that says urban as with like, bro, like it's an urban fiction book, or this is an urban fiction author, or even if I don't know this author, I'm reading the synopsis and it's saying he the king of Chicago, or he run the streets. Instantly, I'm gonna know kidnapping, probably a little slapping up, look some killing. You know,
Domestic violence.
you know what I'm saying? In there, like just really don't. You just gotta expect it all in an urban fiction book, and I know that, and I also feel, and please don't take this the wrong way, readers, because I'm not saying all of you all, but I think that a lot of people don't understand the difference in emotion and triggering. It is a difference. If you're triggered, that means something I said took you back to your past, and now you can't function, you can't this, you need to go to a therapy session, you need to take a Xanax, you need to, that's trigger.
Oh,
So
yes. Great point.
emotional means I made you cry, I made you feel away, but you, after a couple of hours of reading that book, you get up, you could still move on, you still functioning, you going to work, you still fucked your nigga that night, you know what I'm saying? That's a difference, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was writing this book and I got a test reader who lost a child, she'll tell you. And I was writing this book, and um I think it was Christmas with a Maniac. I think that's the book. He lost his child.
Mm-hmm.
Like, send me the book. I was like, I told her no. And I said, you might also want to stay away from this book. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, why? And I told her, because I knew that might be triggering. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Trigger. Yes, if you've been in domestic violence and you read domestic violence, it could be a trigger. But if you just cry, it made you feel away, it made you think about what happened to you, and then you could get up and function, and it ain't fuck your head up to the point where you just like, I got a reader's block. I don't want to read nothing else. I don't want to do this. That's not a trigger. That's an emotion. You went through an emotional moment, an emotional lapse. It made you remember. It made you feel. But that is a good thing. I'm not.
Yes.
It's
And that's what I said. If
a good
if
thing.
if a book can get you like that to where, and the thing is, a lot of people don't understand, it's fiction, it's not real. So for you to force an author to base something on your, like, we have millions of readers, you to think someone should alter a book for your personal reasons, or I just think it's selfish. And that's what readers write. That's that when their creativity come out. If you don't feel that that's creative, that's your opinion. But I've saw the bashing and the, trigger warnings for things like domestic violence and things. I'm like, this is art. At the end of the day, it's art. You don't have the
But
right to tell someone how to write their art, and that's exactly what it is.
thing, um, the reality is probably over 90% of women have gone through some type of domestic violence situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that comes back to authors writing what they know. I write what people, if you read my first book, you'll know I went through domestic violence, and it wasn't no little slaps here and there. You read my story, Matt. So
Mm-hmm.
like, I got my ass whooped. I almost died at the hands of a nigga. So I'm not insensitive to
To
domestic.
us, violence. Yeah.
However, I do understand that that is a lot of women's story. You also have to understand that it's not just our genre that writes domestic violence. And I ain't never seen Danielle Steele give a trigger warning. Let's start there. And I have read almost every Danielle Steele book. I probably have
Mm-hmm.
all of them except maybe five. And she is a true blue romance author. And that bitch have made me cry every book, because every book she does the same thing. They're happy, something fatal happens, dramatic happens, that make you break down the cry, and then she brings them love. Every book, whether it's the mate dying, the mate beating them, the mate this, and she doesn't give a trigger warning. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying people are wrong for asking for trigger. I'm just saying Give some grace. Like it's
Oh,
it's
it's for the big publishers do not, they don't put it in their books. So indie authors, if you buy it on Kindle or whatever, they put trigger warnings, and that's usually, that's not a requirement. The big publishers don't, they
my
don't require that.
don't you want a story of a love story. Most readers want a love story, correct? That's why it's not too many
Mhm.
big authors out there anymore. Because most readers are women and women love the fairy tale.
They
That's just
want the happily ever after ending.
so my question is how many ways can a man meet, save, protect, show that he is that nigga and he's gonna protect her and provide without those things happening?
Mhm.
How
That's a
many ways can you
great
tell
point.
that story? You see what I'm saying? We'll all be constantly writing the same few little tropes. Even we're gonna shift right on into that part too. Complaining about the tropes. It's only so many ways you could tell a love story. It's just fact. It's only so many ways boy meets girl, boy and girl hook
Fall
up, boy and girl fall in love.
married with kids, happily ever after.
Oh, I'm tired of them getting pregnant at the end. Uh, people get pregnant. Like, and I
You
think
can't satisfy everybody.
the problem, I think what bothers me is I ain't gonna even say it bothers me because it doesn't bother me. Because one thing about me is I'm gonna write my story, and I appreciate different opinions. I just want the readers to appreciate ours. So I'm not gonna say it bothers me because it doesn't. But usually, a lot of times, the person that's saying, "Oh, that bitch was stupid. I hate reading about stupid weak bitches," and then the next week they on their page like this nigga take dragging them by their edges, bro. Like,
Oh God.
well, like I don't. Not just most of the time I don't write about weak women. I try my best not to, not because um readers don't like it. It's because I try to, like I said, write what I know for the most part.
Yeah, and you're very strong. You have a strong personality, stronger. Yeah.
Write something and offend other people because I wrote it wrong. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
trying to describe this woman being this way, but I don't really know because I ain't that type. And then somebody offended, like, bitch, that ain't what we do. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is that let's be real. Almost every woman has been stupid. I ain't gonna even say almost. I think every woman has been stupid or weak at some point for a man, for love. That's what love is. Love makes you vulnerable. Love
Mhm.
softer. Love makes you give when you don't want to give. That's what it's supposed to be. It's compromise. It's you know what I'm saying? And Sarge, Sarge book, the girl goes back, and I had people tell me, uh, why did she go back? That made me hate her. He never did nothing to her that she saw. You, the reader, saw it because that's the way I made it.
Wrote it. Hmm.
I'm saying y'all saw it. She didn't see it. As far as she knew, he was a good guy, who didn't do her wrong. He was safe, and she didn't want safe, so she went towards Sarge. But Sarge was kind of like a lot, it scared her. She didn't know how to handle it, so she ran back. And
Hmm.
then, yes, that was weak. That was no, it wasn't. She didn't know he was out here fucking the beautician and letting the mama suck his dick. She didn't know that. She didn't know it.
So I have a question with that. Like, you talk about is only so many ways you can write. So with this story with Sarge, and Yasmin, they were baby mama, baby daddy. They decided, oh, that's cute. So they decided it wasn't working, but he let her stay with him. But it seems like he really was only letting her stay there because he thought she would be more of a mother to their daughter.
He didn't
And
trust.
then when she showed that, she is just as, I'm not gonna say careless, but she could care less about
She
being a mother. She wanted to be. out in the, she wanted a business. She wanted to hang out. She wanted this. She wanted that. She wanted to be pampered. She didn't want to be a mother like he wanted her to be a mother. And she asked for a nanny.
And he gave her one.
He gave her one, and then when it wasn't what she expected, she got a little attitude. But even with that, when Yasmin, because you said Sarge was a lot, because he literally, when you talk about domestic violence, you could say because he did Yasmin any kind of way, be, but that was the respect he had for her. Like it's like he lost respect for her.
He didn't, you know, because I'm very careful with that. So I know for a fact he did it. I'm real careful with that because even though I know a lot of readers would still love the male character and he would be a book bait for them, I told you when I write based on my feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
Though I may love that book, I he won't be a book bait for me. When he put the hands on the women, he hit them.
Mm.
So Sarge didn't actually fight Yasmin. He talked bad to Yasmin. He
And he pulled a gun on her.
put the gun on her that one time, but he didn't
That one time.
at that time. You know
Uh-huh.
what I'm saying is like he wasn't physically like, choke upset. Like, what I'm saying? He wanted to, but he did, and that's usually how I kind of play it, like where they really want to, and they give you that warning, and
Mm-hmm. That smile.
that's why I had him
That smile.
out. So instead of him actually hurting her, and I also don't want him to keep giving threats either. Like you keep threatening her, but you ain't yoked her up yet. But because hit her, I put her out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't stand a king or thug or hood nigga who just constantly threatening and don't do shit. Like nigga, how many times you gonna let this nigga play in your face? Like you just gonna keep saying I'm gonna shoot the shit out of the nigga. They play with me, but they been playing with you the whole book. But I think
So with this, the BDSM, like the room he had downstairs, and she actually discovered that room on the first day she was there. Um, and on top of that, he was attracted to her. He met her in the wedding dress. She, was trying to escape a marriage she didn't want to be a part of. Basically, a arranged marriage, you can say arranged marriage. One of a bride. She knew that she was basically going to be a debt paid by her parents, and she didn't want that. She didn't love Port at all. And it just seems like, like you said, Sarge may have been too much for her, and that's why she went back. But the thrill that Sarge gave her was what she was. It's crazy because she was asking for that man. And then when she got him, she didn't want him because then she was scared of him.
but see, she wasn't scared of the sexual chemistry or that. Once she learned who Sarge was, I guess streetwise is what scared her. She
Yeah.
was from that life. She didn't feel like she could be that ride or die bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That deal with the street. Like even when he went missing, like she couldn't deal with that or feel like she could, deal with that. And everybody's not built, the same. And then Yasmin, you know, of course she don't know Yasmin setting her up for the okie doke, but she
Mm-hmm.
saying what happened that somebody tried to kill her because it scared her. She was green. She was, young. She didn't know no better.
Yeah, she came up in the suburbs. Like she had parents who were able to provide. She was a pampered princess. You
Yeah.
know.
So, but I don't know. I liked her and the daughter's dynamic.
I did too. I like the way her and Soraya.
And it
Uh,
was like immediately where she went into protection mode immediately, even though it was against Yasmin, because Yasmin started talking.
yeah, that's what I didn't understand. I get it, but why would you ask questions like that or talk like that in front of your child? She was young, like elementary age child. It's just some things, and I see it a lot. So it's not like you said, it's not far fetched at all. You do see women talking their daughters like that and around them. So it's crazy.
Like when we was growing up, we was raised different. We was growing up, we couldn't be in grown folks' conversation.
Exactly. Can't couldn't be at all. But now they, they hold conversations right in front of them. It's like,
Don't join in on the conversations.
yeah, it's like Yasmin was really gutted with it, and is it Araya or Aria?
Aria.
Aria was like, okay, let's go to your room. Listen, and she took it as, oh, you trying to take over already, but you asked for a nanny.
Yeah. She ain't
Uh,
want no one of them old.
yeah. That's why I said she wanted old and wrinkled. She wanted a grandma. She wanted a grandma to raise her child.
And you know what I loved most about that book? A lot of people think it's like SARS or, Aria, but it was the sister for me. The sister,
The she could break it to him when she said what she said, my neighbor's being being sought out by the FBI for money laundering.
is-
Should I make it disappear? Yeah, she had me. She was funny. I ain't gonna lie. That was, and you know what? That was a touch of where I don't think you were trying to be funny, but it's like the scene just came out so funny for me. I'm like, oh God, her again.
and I love the fact of how he, realized and acknowledged that the weight that was put on her, the guilt that was put on her, it shouldn't have been. She was a kid. You know,
Yeah.
made the decision to, let her live her life. You know what I'm saying? Even though she still, if you get to the end of the book, see she did some slight shit for him to find somebody. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, you get to go be. I did what I did so that you could be free. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to live this life that we live. You know what I'm saying? You get to go be a kid because she just wanted to go date and shit like that. But
Mm-hmm.
computers all day and listen in on tap calls, or she felt she had to. You know what I'm saying? They never really actually told her she had to, but it was kind of
She felt to protect her brother.
and it was kind of an expectation because he would call her like, you know, do this, look this person up. So, it was almost like a silent expectation. Like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't even realize they was putting this all on the kid. But the parents said they knew, like shit, she gotta go to work. Everybody in the family works. It's the family business.
I like that. So with Sarge, were you surprised that? Because I know you had to come after it was a release to explain a few things. Were you surprised that this book was as controversial as it was?
So, first of all, before the controversy, I was shocked because before the controversy, the book took off and
Yeah.
like doing numbers. And I was surprised because I didn't think, like, because I knew I was going to always do these three books. I knew it was going to be three different men or whatever, but I used to literally dream about Sir Devereaux. Like, before I even started writing, his character, like, engulfed me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was always, like, I could feel him, like, always in my head. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
was talking. And so, when it's like that for me, I'd be like, this one of them ones. Like I could tell it's one of them ones. Like I know how it's gonna be received. I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like it will be, right? And so with third, it took off. It was like a whole, thing on TikTok. It was a whole movement, it was just everywhere. And so instantly I'm like, shit, how the fuck, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think the other books would top them, you know what I'm saying? But me being a person of completion, I have to finish stuff. I'm like, it just got to be what it's going to be. So when I dropped Grand, it did good. I think it's still hit number one, but the reception wasn't the same as
Mm-hmm.
and talked about. Barely seen anybody say anything about it. So it's just like, okay, it kind of went under the radar. And that one was way more heavier than Sir. So I felt like maybe that was the reason because
Yeah.
with some heavy shit, right? So when I started writing Sarge, I realized it was more gonna come across more comical. And I'm like, I'm like, just finish it. Like this is just it's just not it's just sir is just who he is. Sir is sir. You know what I'm saying? Just finish
Yeah.
it, be done with it. And so when they started tagging me left and right, I'm like, whoa, like I was not expecting Sarge to be on the same level as Sir.
Mm.
Then the comes, and we can go into that if you want to, because I really would like to go into that.
Go
Um,
ahead.
so for those who don't know who's watching, Sir is taking off doing all kind of great numbers, and then out of nowhere, this review pops up on Amazon that says Latoya Nicole is a piss poor author. If I remember, she might have said that on TikTok, but that's what it said. It might not have been in the review. She might have said that on TikTok, but I'm a piss poor author, and I completely stole someone else's book verbatim. It's a sad day in urban fiction. Da 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 da.
Remember that.
And so let's just start with the fact that at first I laughed it off and disregarded, because that's one thing about me. I don't argue people's opinions, reviews, and like, I don't feel bad for no low ranking or rating on Amazon. I actually look at the reviews of what they say, and I try to learn from what they're telling me. If somebody bad review, I never bash bad reviewers. So let's get that out. So I kind of disregarded it at first, and then of course my fan base, I started getting inboxes, text messages, like you see this, you see this. I'm like, yeah, I see that bullshit. I kind of brushed it off, and then I noticed the name said Cola, and I only got one reader named Cola that I know of. I might have more, but I know for a fact I had this one reader named Cola. And me and her real close. So I inboxed her like, bro, is this you? She like, no, ma'am. I'm like, so now I'm intrigued to know who it is, because as I look at her previous reviews, it kind of looked like she don't really care for urban fiction. She's never read a book by me. I'm not in her list. So I'm like, who is she? So I was trying to find her, can't find it. I'm putting her on anybody. Like I found somebody else. I swear to God, it was a white. I swear to God, it was a white author named Nicola, something like that. And even though she was white, she was friends with some black authors I knew. So I'm like, Cammy would tell you, because Cammy like, Toya, no. I'm like, this gotta be her. This gotta be her. I'm about to inbox this poor lady like, girl, what is you doing? And out of nowhere, Cammy like, Toya, I don't think that's that lady. Just let it go. It's what it is with me.
Yeah,
I'm
go.
like, whatever. So I go on TikTok to free my mind of the bullshit, and I'm scrolling TikTok. Boom. I don't know how this girl ended up in my feed, but the actual person who reviewer was is in my feed. The only reason I know it's her is because she has the picture of the review in the screenshot.
Oh wow.
But then I look at her name. It says, I'm waiting on her to get to the book I supposed to stole, so we can say, hey, let's go read this book, because I know for a fact I've never stolen nothing from nobody. So I'm just like,
Hmm.
waiting on her to get to the name of the book. She keeps going on, and then finally she goes, mind you, the same book me and her got into it about a year. So it's not random. You didn't just randomly read my book. You didn't just not know who I was. You deliberately went and read this book. So now I'm
Hmm.
like, got into it, because I'm like, I ain't never got into it, because that's one thing about me. You can ask anybody. It's a point of mine. I don't get into it with readers ever. I try my best not to ever get into a reader. So now I'm like, okay. I go to looking for recommendations. They listening to reviewers
And
and
that's the problem.
my problem with that is that it's a whole world of readers who don't know me, and you didn't the book to let them reference for themselves. Had she have gave the book and said this is the book she stole, readers would have went, downloaded both books, read it for themselves, and realized I didn't steal a book. But since you wouldn't name the book or the author, now I have to respond because they have nothing to base it off of. See what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They have
Yeah.
to compare. All they have is your word, a reader, against the author they don't know. And I'm not gonna let you do that to my brand. I've been writing too long. I've been doing this for too long. Then she goes, y'all could come for me because I know they coming. I'm ready. I got receipts. Got the receipts, bro. Like post, you could just post two excerpts that make you feel like these are similar. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't say similar. You said I verbatim
Yeah.
your book.
So I
So
have a lot of times, and the people don't know, because I know we used to be on Clubhouse a lot, and you would ask like, what should I write about? Like literally, it was like a cat. We would just throw you things to write about. Like you said, I asked to be someone with a butt pad, and you made a whole story out of that. Just me playing with you or me telling you what kind of character I'd be. That's just how you are. And I remember with the Runaway Bride and thing, that was actually Brittany. She was like, Toya, write a book about, and this is how it gets started. And a lot of times that's how you get a lot of your book ideas. You randomly be like, y'all, what y'all think I should write about? And you write about, and that book right there, that's that you just wrote with Sarge, we actually have been talking about
I,
that since about 2000.
you test read the beginning of that book almost.
Yeah, it was like 2021, right?
Yes.
So it's like,
I was
yeah, you may think, and that's a lot of times you didn't just write that book. You've been writing that book for years. You just decided to release it because we read that book back in 2000, early 2021, because that was one of the ideas that was given to you when we were on just discussing. So I think a lot of times people think things are stuff, but just because it came out after don't mean it was wrote after, because you literally wrote the book 3 years ago,
yes,
maybe more than that. Three years ago you just released it.
happened to see that one. Bitch, you missed Sarge. I mean, sir. Sir was the first erotica.
Yeah.
Miss Grand, you just saw this one, but I've already written two eroticas. And they all in the same alignment. So
Mhm.
you just missed them. You only saw this one because I was right there showing in the charts with her.
Yeah.
My thing is don't do that to somebody break. Like you could try to defend your friend, but but listen, and I see my video and they deleted it off TikTok, so I'm gonna say it again.
Readers, we love fan bases that defend us, that take up for us, especially like if we ain't in rooms and people, going at us. I will always love that. I love that about my readers. I love that, that you all have my back. So I'm not speaking on that. But if you are the type of reader that likes to create conflict between two authors, stop doing that. That
Yeah.
that that is so wrong on so many levels because you have two great brands, two people livelihoods on the line that could be damaged, demolished, might not survive the beef. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And and a lot of times it be unnecessary and it be false, a false narrative because you're going hard for somebody like and you're accusing them of you this and like I said a long while ago, everybody writing the same tropes. So it's gonna be some similarities.
Similarities.
It's gonna be some similarities. It's nowhere around it. People walk the same lives, done the same things, been in the same streets, date the same niggas. There's only so many ways a fuck nigga could be a fuck nigga. You know what I'm saying? However, but when you fix your mouth to say that someone stole someone's whole book verbatim, and that is a flat out lie. I've never read that girl book. I ain't gonna even lie to you. No, I said a million times E Bowser had nothing to do with that.
Yeah. Shout
However,
out to
it
E
is,
Bowser too. I've read a couple of her books.
but it was
Um,
needed to be said what book. So
yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I have nothing against her. And I feel like it's unfortunate because the girl is not just her reader, that's her friend. You know what I'm saying? So your friend decided to do this on defense of you for whatever reason or another. But you're not going to tear my brain. I'm not going to allow you to do that. I've worked too hard for it. Like my mind is ridiculously good and crazy. Like you could give me a beginning of any scenario right now. You know how many people come to me for
And we
storylines?
do that all the time. Yeah, we do that all the time.
Like my
And you
that's the
know,
one
like
thing.
that's the crazy thing. Like we've done that for several books. Like while you kind of you were like, Maisha, Brittany, like help me. What should I write about? And we'll just say something random. You'll be like, that's it, you know. And that's what it is. Cause I remember we did the one with the snake. That was another one.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was Princess and Hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like any little thing I could look at, I could come up with a story. You threw something at me right now, live on this stream. I could come up with a storyline, and this is an unscripted streaming.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and even with that book, I could show you. I have at least 10 versions of it. Not because I wanted 10 versions of it. My test readers kept telling me,
Sure did.
So I had to
Sure
keep
did.
redoing it.
Mm-hmm. So
And it was different completely each time.
yep. So at Sister Girls Book Club, we don't believe in the author beef, author versus author, or reader versus author. So it's all love here. So it's no disrespect to E. Bowser. It's just you telling your story, and that's one thing we allow. You know, the authors to tell their story.
Yeah, it's no
No
it's
harm, no
no
foul.
disrespect to her on my
Yeah,
behalf. Like I said, I hate that it was even done, but I had to say her what book. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? For the reference, for the readers to go read it if you go search it right now online, if you go search author Latoya Nicole and just put that, it's gonna say author Latoya Nicole plagiarism. That's how many people searched that on
Wow.
TikTok. You see what I'm saying? I had to. It wasn't to disrespect her, but I had to. Because you're not gonna play on my name, Miss Tacola.
Someone wanted to read your book. Where would you tell them to start at? What book would you say was your just turning point where you know how you said when you first started you was just writing every 2 weeks to write, and then you got into the hang of it, and baby you became that one click author. What book was your turning point?
That's a difficult question and an easy one at the same time, right? The turning point, most people think was Love and War.
And
Turning
I
point
think so.
was the turning point was Addicted to His Pain, the book before Love and War, because it was a really emotional book,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the book I broke top 10. That was the first top 10, and it sat in like top 10 for like over a month. And then right behind it, I dropped Love and War. So that one hit top 5 because they were now, you know what I'm saying, wanting to read books by me, but it was Addicted to His Pain that snatched them in. But most people, if you ask them, hey, what you reading, Latoya Nicole? What book should I start? They're gonna tell you Love and War,
That's
hands
what
down.
that would be my suggestion.
Everybody's gonna say Love and War.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would always say start at the beginning, which is No Way Out, because one, you understand me, the person,
Mm-hmm.
you know my story. Then two, you start to understand my crazy, especially because No Way Out goes into Gangster's Paradise, and we know Gangster was a different type of crazy. He probably is the most craziest nigga in urban fiction. Like so, you find my crazy there. You see how far my mind can kind of go in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then also those characters kind of intertwine into Love and War. So they come in Love and War 4, I think, um, 3 or 4. I think it's 4 though. Um, so I would always say start at the beginning.
I think it's 4.
But if I'm just trying to automatically snatch and draw a reader in, because No Way Out is written kind of different. So some readers might can't appreciate the way I wrote No Way Out because it's literally written in only my person and my point of view. Like it's strictly coming from me every chapter. So some people might not kind of can appreciate that kind of story. But if I'm trying to snatch a reader in immediately or draw them to me, I would say Love and War. and then I would shift them to Phantom. But now it's a little difficult to say because now I kind of would tell them Sir Devereaux or Sarge the Boy. So,
And
um,
how did you come up with those names? Because you know you have the French names, Devereaux and the boys. So
it wasn't because I wanted French. I literally just wanted a name that sounded sexy, that was eye catching, that would make you be like, oh, I want to read about him. You know what I'm
you
saying?
know what's
So,
crazy, Toya? So when I read the names, I'm like, oh, she gonna take us to New Orleans? Like I expected a New Orleans nigga, like dialect, like New Orleans. Like when
well,
you
see, that
threw us
was
that name.
well, see, Sir Devereaux. If you read Sir Devereaux, you would see he speaks French in there. Like him and his dad always speaks
Mm-hmm.
French because his dad wanted him to, stay part of that culture, like to never forget it. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever him and his dad was around each other in the room, he always spoke French. And he spoke on his background more so. See, and Sarge, even though he knows that's his background, he like, I ain't never been the fuck over there, so the fuck, you know what I'm saying? And so he's kind of like, he really don't give a fuck about that part of his background because
Mm-hmm.
he's never been over there. He's never, engaged in that part of his background, but Sir did. And of course, Sir was the first book. And the reason why I didn't let Sarge be engaged in it or speak French, because if you know me, I don't like two characters the same.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like two storylines the same. So Sir was Sir. And since he was the first one, he spoke French. He was, that way that he was real poised. Like he went to Ivy League schools, you know what I'm saying? So he talked kind of proper, you know what I'm saying? Wore suits all the time. He was just different. And so I needed Grand to be different, and then I needed Sarge to be different. But all the names, I wanted them kind of eye catching because that was the title, their names.
Yeah.
And I wanted
Yeah.
them to be sexy and
And I think you did that good with their names, cause not every book you can literally name the book after the character. That's hard to do, but you did it, and they were the alpha men. That's another thing. They stood out, and their names, like you said, are sexy. So you like okay,
but
this
and then to find out that Sir name is really Sir, like that's his given
yeah.
name. It's like, bro, what? Like, that's what his mama named him? Like, yep, that's
Mm-hmm.
his given name, Sir Devereaux.
Yep. I
It's
knew
kind of like Sir
I knew
Charles.
twins. Yeah, I knew twins. One name was Miss and one name was Sir. So they mama said because however you call them, you have to address them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
because he was into BDSM, I thought that would be a cute play. You know what I'm saying? So, because they had a pet name, so they want you to call him Daddy or whatever, Sir. So, since his name was Sir, it kind of already went with that. And then, like with Sarge, when I did the whole the submarine, the sub level club, it all went to the army type,
yeah.
thing. Like he's a Sarge, so the submarine. So it was a play on all of that together. So
I did like the books, but I usually get carried away with your books because sometimes it's like I don't know what direction you gonna go in. One thing about you gonna entertain us. You gonna entertain us from the beginning to the end.
and see, that's
Um,
what I think with Grand. I think that's where it kind of like a reader who likes emotions being pulled. It's like okay, cool. But it was like it started kind of with I guess with the laughs for people, and then it was like not out of nowhere. They didn't see it coming. Boom, it went heavy. You know what I'm saying? You
mhm.
learn his background. You know what I'm saying? You learn why he's so dark. You know what I mean? And um, I don't know, but I feel like Grand St. Lex was probably a little underrated. You know what I mean?
You
I feel
know what
like
else? I want to talk about your talent because I forgot about this one. It was one time, y'all, I told Toya to write about a female character who lost her boyfriend, but she was so out of it that she thought he was still alive, and she was seeing his best friend as the, and she wrote that book. Like literally, we just talking like this. Don't want to get away from how talented you are. Like how we would throw topics and you would make it happen. Like you made that book happen. And I'm just like, wow, Toy, you really wrote this book, and you really wrote a book, and it was really good. So I just wanted people to know, like, Toya really well. If she asks for something to write about and you give her something, she's going to make it happen. Like I remember that like yesterday, and she was like, Maisha, I finished the book. You want to read it? I'm like, I said, you really, you said, yeah, I really, you told me to write it, didn't you? And you wrote it, and I test read it, and I'm like, wow, it was really good. It was
Yeah, that was
really good. It's one
that's
of
Dear
now
Love.
that's one of my favorite ones by you,
That's
because
Dear Love, I miss you.
you really took a topic that nobody would have, and you really made it yours. I like, yeah, that's one of my favorite books.
Like sometimes I go back, I just do because I don't know, I just do it because sometimes I need to be in the mood, like for like certain books I'm finna write, so I need to get back in that mind frame rather than go read other people's books. I'll go reread something of mine, and I'll go back and reread them sometimes, and I'll be sitting there like, damn, you wrote the shit out this book. Like
Yes,
I
yes.
really feel like I'm. People don't think I'm underrated, but compared to where I feel like I think you would think I am, I'm kind of underrated a little bit.
Hmm. So, got a question.
Bitch, don't like that now.
Got
Like
a
you don't agree.
question.
Go ahead.
What's your next trope? What can we look forward to?
So I'm working on a book right now. I don't know what. I guess this would go under urban because I've been craving um, messy, toxic. Um, because I haven't written one of them kind of books in a long while. Um, like I wanted to come out of the box, and that I did. Like I've been like all over the place writing, paranormal and erotica and stuff like that. And I just got tired of being boxed in, and I just wanted to um, write, different stuff and different things that come to my mind, and see if I can make it, my own, my little urban spin on it. And I've been writing that way like for a while now, and I kind of missed the the way I started from the ghetto, the
You
ghetto
like the
books
hood
that,
classics.
yeah, the hood
Yeah.
class. So this book I'm working on now, I think the title gonna be Spinning the Block with a Toxic Nigga. And this one is kind of this one is gonna be one of them books that I know some readers gonna give me hell over because it is it's borderline cringy, if that makes sense. It's something in the book that might make you be like, but I feel like I'm gonna do this shit. I'm gonna pull it off, and because you my bitch, and you asked me to do this interview, I'm gonna tell you exclusively on your show what it is. So, and nobody else knows this, so because nobody else has read it, nothing but my couple of test readers. But so basically, so I'm hoping y'all go read it after y'all get this tidbit. He is this guy that's in love with this girl. Like he wants her real bad. Like he's drawn her. He's in love with her. She's a good girl. He's a street nigga. But she's the innocent little girl, and her mom and them, because they don't want her dating no hood nigga, whatever, da da da. And he's coming at her. He's going at her, whatever. So they finally decide they're gonna meet up at this party because her cousin and them trying to convince her to come to this party. He's looking for her at this party. She goes. He's drunk. She thinks she's drunk. Somebody drugs her. He's super drunk. He has sex with her, but he think it's willingly.
Consensual.
He think it's consensual, but she knows it was not. She knows she's incoherent. So that's one of those things where people would say technically, he raped her, but he doesn't know he raped her. See what I'm saying? Like, he literally thought he finally got his dream to come true, his wish to come true, and he finally gets to date and be with the woman he loves, and then she just disappears on him, and he has no idea why. And so he
Wow.
turns into kind of like a bitter nigga, like not bitter, like but like cold-hearted. I guess I should say not bitter, cold-hearted nigga. And he's all grown now. He's all up in the streets. He's never know what happened to her, and he's just like, what the fuck? But blame her. You want to know why I treat these hoes like this? Blame her. You know what I'm saying? He already got abandonment issues from his mom for leaving him because she's a crackhead. So he's just really like fuck hoes at this point. And then he sees her because she has to come back, because she moved out of town, and she has to come back because her daughter is sick. Their daughter, but he
Oh my
doesn't
God,
know
Toya.
that they have a daughter. She didn't even raise the daughter. Her mother raised the daughter because she just completely left all of that behind. And
Wow.
she gets sick. And that's where I'm going to leave it at with you guys. And
Wow.
you got to go read the rest to figure out
So
what happened.
this is coming up. Dear Love, I Miss You is just wanted to give you guys some titles. Dear Love, I Miss You is the book where she wrote about a woman losing her, basically her soulmate, and her not being able to accept it. That's a good one. The Princess and Her Hitter was one of my favorites as
Oh, you
well.
ain't going to get him your book?
Yeah. Holding Down a Boss is my book. So Holding Down a Boss, you will read about me.
But
I'm
wait,
not
I
at my
made
best.
Brittany a crackhead too.
I'm not at my best, but you know, it is entertaining, and I think you guys will like it. That book alone, I'm looking at it now, has 969 reviews, 4.5 star. Dear Love, I Miss You, which was one of, you know, something that she just literally came off the rip with. That is at 244 reviews and 4.5 stars as well. So as you can see, Toya gets it, you know, whatever you want her to visualize. If you want to come in her inbox and challenge her, she is open to it, and baby, she makes you proud. So Toya, thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. I can't wait to get you around for another season so we can see what else you're up to. But thank you so much for joining us for Sistah Girls Nite In. Peace.
Thank y'all. Love y'all. Go follow me.
You want to get your handles?
Oh, Facebook, Latoya Nicole Williams. Yeah, Facebook an asshole. They won't let me change it. So my Facebook is Latoya Nicole Williams. My Instagram is Ata Latoya Nicole, I believe. My TikTok is Ata Latoya Nicole. My Snapchat is I Am Toys. And if y'all don't get social media, my email is latoyanicole@yahoo.com.
Okay. All right. Good night, you guys.
Good night. Love you. Love y'all.